Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm Taylor, and standard disclaimer, this video is a part of a full series on all the claim factions and such, and the playlist for it will be in the description. I'll link to all the other videos. And at the end of it all, I'll rank my favorite factions and boxes and stuff. And I'm assuming for all the videos besides the main claim video that you know how to play claim. And also, in the critique of the factions, I might be a little bit redundant or repetitive video to video, but bear with me. Anyway, without much further ado, let's go to the video. Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm Taylor, and if you're watching this as part of a claim video series on the expansions, go ahead and skip forward to that timestamp. The video itself actually came out on July 4th, which is 4th of July. It's a holiday in the States. I took so long and I'm laughing because I thought it had like a name to it. You know, like Halloween. Like Halloween isn't called the 31st of October. Like the holiday of 4th of July is just it's just 4th of July. That's not funny. Anyway, happy 4th of July for anyone in the old states. Emphasis on old. But the previous video, we covered reviewers because it is community. And the one before that, we had a giveaway for Plotters Inc., which was Mitlist und Took. And I asked kind of what your favorite art was. And I'm going to give away Plotters to Hayes. So again, Hayes, just reach out. There's links in the description to reach out to me. And the art on Plotters Inc. is great. I prefer the Sai Beppu art just because I love Sai, but this is actually like honestly very, very beautiful and wonderful as well. But your comments in that video on February were awesome to read. Vincent True Trait was highlighted, and Fox and the Forest had amazing art. Take the A chord. There's just so many cool art styles in trick taking now that it's just lovely to like fan cards and really look at it. I think because last video was about reviewers, I think the game that we're going to give away today as like the final giveaway is Hameln Cave. We did a video on this in the style of Watch It Played, which was fun. It has a bit of a bump, gotten into a little bit of an import crash. So if you do want this, bump and all, just reach out and let me know what your favorite reviewer or video maker or just anyone in the board game space that you are having a good time watching or reading or anything, or listening to, or you know, whatever's your favorite. And I'll send out Hameln Cave your way. I did want to highlight, because it's the last kind of community video of sorts, anyone else that I missed. I think there's just so many people in this community that are just so amazing. So quick list: James Nathan and Rand. I am so in debt to them and their translations and just the amazing work they do with all trick taking overseas and everywhere. It just blows me away. They are amazing at what they do for the community. And Ty, who runs Cloudcat Games, which does an amazing job at getting trick taking out to more people. They do an awesome job of importing and sending out copies. So I'll put, you know, all their links and all their sites in the description as well. And then finally, all the amazing people in the community who make games more accessible for people to play online. So those who can't afford or aren't able to import games, they design playingcards.io rooms so people can play them online. So people like Ryan and Chris and Vintu, just like amazing, amazing people who do such an important job of letting people just play games as readily and easily as possible. So thanks so much to the community. Oh my gosh, y'all are the best. Whew. So all that aside, welcome to what we're doing a little bit of a preview of, is covering all the claim factions and all that, which I kind of gave a little bit of a spiel. The first one we're covering is the brand spanking new Reinforcements C, which is almost nice because they're probably on a sea of some sorts in Hameln Cave. So a little bit of a crossover. I am going to assume, as you saw in the intro, assume you know how to play claim. So I'm just going to jump to the table, show how these factions work. There's 5 new factions in this specific expansion, and then come back here and I'm just going to go over each one and whether I was, you know, surprised or what I thought about each one during the gameplay, especially like, you know, between the 2 phases, and kind of give an overall eyebrows up or eyebrows flat approval rating of this box. So I'll catch you in a little bit. The first factions we'll cover are the Pirates and the Royal Navy, who are a joint faction that play off of each other, and the only thing that's different about them is at the end of the game, they interact with each other in a player's score pile. So say this was the score pile for a player at the end of the game. If it was like this, where no numbers between those two factions match, then nothing happens. That player has 2 Pirates and 3 Royal Navy. But if the player had a number that did match, like these 9s here, then the Navy person captures one of the Pirates, and any same numbers just go over to the Navy side, and they'll count toward Navy faction. So this person doesn't have 3 Pirates and 3 Navy, they have 4 Navy and 2 Pirates. The next faction, the Sea Monsters, only matter in phase 1, and what happens is if a sea monster is flipped and it's part of the card that's being fought over, immediately the players will just exchange 1 card. So they'll both pick a card and put it face down in front of the other player, and once both players have done that, they'll just take the other one into their hand, and then the person who's going to lead will then still lead. So all it does is just players exchange a card when this faction is revealed. How fish people work are they have to do with this deck of trident cards. There's 6 of them and they're all just the same. And how it works is if a player were to ever lose a trick and they had played a fish people faction, then they're going to take a trident. So maybe, for example, this first person here leads with a 9 of the fish people, and the person follows suit and plays a 2. That person lost, so they would take a trident in front of them, and that stays for the rest of the game. In another example, let's say this person actually led Navy, and this person over here didn't have any Navy, and they played an offsuit fish person. They would also lose, and again, they would take a trident. And what tridents do is they just boost the value of any fish person played. So if this person had played a 9 fish person, and then the other person across the table had played an 8 instead of a 2, they wouldn't lose because they're effectively playing a 10. So then, funny enough, this person would have lost playing a fish card, and they'll take a trident themselves. And this is in both phases, so these tridents carry over. And what the rules say is if anyone has all the tridents and the tridents are out, those 6 are out, and someone were to take one, like in this example, this person would have played, right, a 13 fish people, and that person only played a 10 fish people. The loser can steal a trident from the other player. And lastly is Octipi, and how that works is any faction can beat them if they're 8 or higher. So essentially, 8 or higher's offsuit when Octipi is led are treated as trump. So for this example, maybe this player plays their 9 fish person, so usually that would lose because there's no trump in claim. But in this example, since the faction over here was offsuit and it has 9, so 8 or higher, then that would have won. So that is Claim Reinforcements C. And starting at the top here, we'll start with the double faction, the Pirates and the Royal Navy. So again, I'll put them up here just so you can kind of see what they are. But essentially, what they are is if the Royal Navy has the same number as the pirate, they just capture the pirate and the pirate counts as a Royal Navy. It was interesting. I think my only con is it doesn't happen too much, or at least it didn't happen too much in the games we played, which is brutal. I think that's almost a common complaint of some claim powers. Maybe like a running theme a lot of times is you almost want it to happen more, but it doesn't mean like the power's bad, you know? It just sometimes just didn't really have much impact in the game just because you have those 2 phases, right, where like half the deck is cut out. So that could very much be those numbers that match up, right? Or then again, you can be splitting the numbers between the 2 players. So it just didn't happen too much. I think it's a really cool premise, and when it did happen, it was fun to have it swap like that. It was interesting to have the pirates be like almost like a more scarce faction to try to win because they were always just being pulled over to the Navy side. So I liked it. It was good. There wasn't too much like fiddly rules or like rules overhead to getting to the cool hook of what that faction was. The next one is Sea Monsters. So again, this is on phase 1. If it ever is revealed as the card, you just exchange cards. This was fun. I think it's nice to have the threat of that always happening. It happened more than the previous example with the Royal Navy and the pirates, but not like too terribly much, which is maybe fair. What's cool about Claim is that every hand and every game of it could just be so different, you know, because a bunch of these sea monsters can come out in one hand versus a different one. I liked it. It created tension to where I almost wanted to save some bad cards while we were playing, or cards, you know, because claim actually is it's good to have low and high cards because sometimes you don't want to win it. But it was interesting when it did pop up, because it didn't pop up again too regularly, but when it did, have that choice to pass some cards. So it was good, changed things up, nice little wrinkle, but nothing too crazy. Next up is Fish People, which I think might be my second favorite or favorite. It has that interesting carryover that I really like that sometimes happens, where the tridents that you win in the first phase not only count for the first phase, but they can also count for the second phase. And you can almost try to short suit yourself early to then start short suiting fishes to get those tridents and then have a really cool kind of faction for you in the second hand, especially if you're trying to win those fishes in the draw in the first phase. I think, again, it just didn't happen too much. It happened some, probably the most out of all these, and maybe I should tone down that as a complaint, because maybe just that's claim in a nutshell, is like things just don't happen as much as you might want them to, just because there is so much happening. There's 5 factions after all, like they can't all be stealing the spotlight. But it was nice to have something carry over and have such a palpable impact on both phases. So I really, really like this one. There's some cool decisions to go for it. And the last one is Octipi. I really enjoy this one. I don't know if it's a complaint. One of the things I've noticed in Claim is in the second phase, if you are super long in a suit, you can either just run the table and just destroy the second phase, or you can't get lead and you're just out of luck in a way. So the fact that there's no trump in this game is always, again, I don't want to call it like a con of the game. It's just brutal because it just leads to a little bit more swingy, like runaway-ness of the game. So what this faction does essentially is it lets it make it so 8s and above are essentially trump, which allows for a little bit more flexibility in gaining control. And there's some cool moments where you can, you know, save random high numbers in other suits and hope that that person plays an octopus later, and it makes them just a little bit more dangerous. So I like this one a lot. This might have been my favorite. So if I did have to rank them, I think Fish People and Octopus at the top, and then Sea Monsters, Pirates, and Royal Navy just right below it. So nothing too bad. And I did like this whole box. I would say a good set. There's no kind of duds in it, but maybe none that were too stand out, super interesting. So kind of like a fun one, but maybe a little bit middle of the road. Anyway, thanks so much for watching.